We can't say the future without AI. I mean, there's no way around it. 50% of workers now believe AI is going to improve their experience. When I come into the meeting room, I need a way to incorporate my AI with what's going on in the meeting. It's almost a bring your own AI type of a concept. Most of what we do in our day-to-day is going to change significantly.
Hear the latest AV trends and predictions in this episode of Crestron's Smarter Spaces podcast on your preferred podcast platform.
As a consumer myself, I would personally pay more for a brand or a business that has the ability to allow me to call and talk to someone. Maybe I'm old school. I just want to talk to someone. And if that means 10% more, fine, so be it.
We need people. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I believe that the consumer is pushing back towards that. People do want to have that people interaction. We've gone too far.
Welcome to the McDonald's AI. Thinking. Hello.
Oh, hello. Are you guys hiring?
Thinking. We are not hiring humans at this time.
Oh.
Would you like to subscribe to McDonald's Plus?
I'm not interested in a food subscription.
Every Wednesday for $99.99.
Okay, well, thanks anyways.
On this episode of ResiWeek, Harman acquires B&W and D&M, the AI shark, and semiconductor tariffs. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek. This is ResiWeek, episode 483. We're in this together. Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of all the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matt D. Scott for AVNation.tv. And this week, to talk about tariffs, we are joined by Ian Bryant. He's the technical manager over at IES Communications. How you doing, Ian?
Doing great. Always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. Then we've got my good buddy, Mr. Joe Whitaker. He's the VP of Commercial for Origin Acoustics. How are you, sir?
Busy, of course, but we'll always make time for you guys.
Aw, thank you, sir. All right. In this weekly roundup of tariff conversations, we'll get to that at the end of the show, so you got to listen to the start of it. In a major acquisition, this again comes to us from CE Pro and a good friend of the show, Mr. Bob Archer. Bowers and Wilkins, Denon Marantz, etc., and their flagship of all those companies under that brand have been sold to Harman for $350 million. That bolsters Harman's flagship, which includes JBL, Mark Leviston, Arcam, Revel, etc. Masimo, which was the global medical company, has entered into an agreement to sell Sound United, yada, yada, yada. Go read the story if you care about all the fun little details. This, I'm going to say, doesn't come as a surprise to me, other than the fact that I was not expecting Harman to jump into this level of the residential business, although I'm happy to see it. Ian, when you see this, does this come as kind of a bit of a new life to the industry, given just the huge catalog that Sound United has and the cachet of a brand like B&W and Denon Marantz, which again, they're staple brands in the industry? Does this kind of breathe a little bit of life into it, knowing that Harman typically, when they acquire a brand, they put some money behind it. They put some innovation behind it. They typically aren't buying and selling.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when AMX was acquired by Harman and fell under the brand, and they were kind of on the downturn and disappeared for a while, and now they're coming back with they got new hardware. They're using a new open architecture software, and hopefully we'll see the same thing happen, bring some innovation into these brands that had been a little stagnant for a while with their advancements in the industry. But I think there's maybe also a little bit of concern with these continued buyouts in the market, and everyone falling under just a couple of brands. And how does that affect purchasing power for smaller mom and pop type shops that may not put a lot of numbers behind a product just because they're a smaller company? So hoping we'll see some innovative things coming out and growing of those brand names, but at the same time, not affecting the dealers that were selling them.
That's a good point. Joe, this was always a bit of a odd juxtaposition when Massimo purchased them way back I can't remember how long ago, but a couple of years ago, because they're primarily a medical solutions company. They do have a weird, odd catalog of some consumer electronic tech, etc. But they never really seem like the right fit for these, especially headlining brands. Is this a better fit for Harman? Does this show a increased involvement maybe in the residential space?
I don't know. I think it might have just been right time, right price tag. Because
350 is low.
Well, people seem to forget or don't read. It could be either or. Those who know and pay attention know that CEO of that company bought all this stuff because he was an audio hobbyist, right? Mm-hmm. So this was a pet project of his that even the board at that time didn't like the idea, but they had no choice, right? So they bought it amidst the lawsuit that they had against Apple and the Apple Watch. So they were expecting an influx of cash that he could flush into his pet project, which was all the audio brands. Obviously, the Apple lawsuit didn't come out the way they wanted it to. The board got, canned, and it got a new board. Now it's like, okay, we need to strip all this junk down. All these pet projects got to go. Employees that are staffed to these pet projects, they got to go. And let's fire sale everything we got to put it into our next big thing, which, if you read some of those things in medical data, their next big thing could be bigger than the Apple Watch. So all of that aside, it was an opportunistic purchase. They probably got it from, I'm going to say 60% of value, 40 to 60, somewhere around there. So it was an opportunistic buy. Harman could be smart and utilize those existing brand names for innovation, right? Because every company we do all the time. We have innovations that we know we can't put under the Origin brand or under the Ambisonic brand. So you need another brand to put those under. What do we typically do? We shelve them until we're ready, and then we can launch them under the brand. But it gives Harman a very unique opportunity to either flop or really succeed. Because in a world where we see those kind of acquisitions, consolidations of, mass brands, they're either total flop or they see revenue generation. Look what happened to Nice, right? Before all that happened, like that was going down the toilet, man. Alon, all that. The Nortec thing. That was an opportunistic buy that actually turned into success. But then you can look at the Sound United stuff and we saw toilet flush, right? So it's all going to be on what Harman does. And me, myself, I'm a Harman fan. So I'm going to hope for the best. Do I think they could do it? Yeah, I do. They lost a bunch of engineers when the whole Leah thing happened. But yeah, I think they could pull it off. I think they could resurrect or continue the Bowers Wilkins thing especially. But JBL synthesis, I mean, I think they could do it. I think this would be a good business move if they play their cards right, like they did with some of the other acquisitions. They're getting big though. Like that's big.
Oh, they're massive. Yeah, but again, you got to remember it's Harman's parent company is Samsung. If we can see maybe 2 years down the road some massive correlation between B&W being integrated into some of Samsung panels or their sound bars, or like there's so many cross-pollination opportunities there. It should be hopefully
as long as Samsung takes a business lessons from Sony. Because no. This is a good point. This is one of the good things about Sony. In electronics, Sony does the right thing in that the electronics, like our CDS space stuff, that's one president, one division. Sony gaming is a totally thing. Phones, different thing. Cameras is a different thing. And it keeps all that innovation of those going up. The minute they try to mix that much stuff together, that could be bad. But if they treat it separately, it could be freaking amazing. They need like 12 CEOs though.
Yeah, they'll get there. They've watching it from the pro side, with the exception of one or two little asterisks that I would throw in there, their acquisition of the Harman suite of brands has been phenomenal. It's been a great acquisition, and all the concerns that a lot of people had, especially again coming from the pro space, they really didn't pan out. those concerns were alleviated pretty quickly. All right, let's change topics for a second and hit a story that comes to us from Residential Systems. Don't Jump the AI Shark by our good friend, Mr. Henry Clifford. In this article, again, go read it. Henry lays out a blanket, AI written phishing email, if you will, of, hey, have you met my company and all the things we do and how we can help you? He goes on to talk about how to kind of use AI to write things for you and automate some of those things, but also not let it take full control of what you're doing and not investing time into using your AI. Because again, we can all tell when we're getting an AI email. Joe, when you see this, I love AI. I honestly am using it almost daily, if not daily now. And I use it for a ton of stuff that I never thought I would, because it is phenomenally effective if used properly. I view this in the business sense as the owner of an integration company, a couple other companies. When we use AI, we use it like every other tool, where we have to tailor the tool to what we want it to do and how our company functions, which I kind of think is what Henry's getting to. Is that not really just the best way to use AI, or should you just be jumping full tilt into it?
See, that's the thing, is we're going to already see consumer fatigue. So join me on my next podcast. We just need people. When you're deploying them for the wrong, like I just the other day used it. Speaker manufacturers is a great way. I'll just share my secret with everyone. So you're trying to make a new speaker out of some plastics, and you're trying to figure out, you have a basic recipe for what is in the plastic, and then you're like, ooh, that one causes cancer. Ooh, that one off gases for plenum. Ooh, that, and then you stick that recipe in AI and say, make me this same recipe with full replacements for each one of these chemicals, and boom, it spits it out. And now it doesn't off gas, and now it doesn't burn your lungs. And yes, there is a place, there's a use for this, right? But the thing is we're going to burn out people on AI and give consumer fatigue because we're forcing it down their throats for the wrong thing. You've all seen the videos on TikTok or Facebook or whatever, where you can now have an AI assistant. No more receptionist, not a real person, right? We're going to burn consumers out to the point of they don't want AI. This is exactly what happened and is happening with Alexa and voice, right? We burnt them out by just letting them order Tide Pods and toilet paper from Alexa. So now we burnt them out on voice. Let's not repeat that and burn them out on AI too. It's useful. That's why voice is kind of in the stagnation. Even when big companies do that, and then you got great innovative companies like Josh AI going, okay, we better call ourselves a control system now because Amazon and Google burned everybody out on voice. We're going to do the same thing with AI. It's going to lose its luster. Once it loses its luster, you lose money for innovation. You lose money for development. That's why Alexa today is damn near the same it was on day one, right? Using it for a tool, yes. Using it for a salesman, an answering machine, an auto schedule generator. Guys, come on. Like, that's like Control 4 trying to have an app store. Didn't work, right? So it is what it is. I love AI. The use cases for consumers are just going to burn them out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ian, to me, this is just baby steps. Or is it, to Joe's point, of use it sparingly with customer facing? Is there a difference there?
Well, I first got to give a shout out to Henry Clifford, because this is another article that I remember we talked about his monologuing article a while back. And he's so great when it comes to the being personalization of our industry. And that's why I think it's important, why I go side with Joe. And I think that we are, especially the more higher luxury that you get in our channel, this is a very personable industry. You are working very closely with people and trying to find solutions for them to improve their lives. And so having that vulnerability and showing that your mistakes and your writing and your speaking, and so that people know that you are a person that is trying to get to know them and talk to them and earn their trust and earn their business, that is what people I think, what people want when they're trying to find someone to provide solutions for them inside of their home, which is their personal space. So for me, I think using AI for specific things like, hey, help me use AI to help you proof edit the letter that you're gonna, or your email blast that you're gonna send out. Use AI to help you find grammar mistakes, but don't use AI to generate the whole thing and send it out. Because I totally get it. I look at my emails. I don't care if it's what it is. If it's something that brand that I'm interested in, if I start reading it and it's totally auto-generated, it just turns me off. And I just think that that's something to keep in mind, especially in our industry. We are an industry that is about, making connections with your customer, and that's key. So I would, like I said, I would just use it as you guys said, as a tool to help you in your business and in your sales in other ways, but not to write letters to your customers or potential customers.
So let me just ask you guys this. I attribute AI kind of and use the example of like the auto attendant that first came into fashion, like really early 2000s, right? Where a small business could afford to buy a little 4-set, phone system and have an auto attendant. And as a small business, you're often never in the office. So the auto attendant was great, but then people got turned off by it, which again, the same principle applies here. And then you found out that to not have the auto attendant and to have somebody who could sit there and answer the phones all day meant that you had to hire somebody to do that. Fantastic. But it also meant that all of your customers' costs went up because you had to pay for this person versus this little bit of AI. Again, to kind of put the two together. Is that kind of where we're at? Where people want that personal connection, which means they have to be comfortable, and you as a business owner have to be comfortable with that investment in a person versus an AI.
As a consumer myself, I would personally pay more for a brand or a business that has the ability to allow me to call and talk to someone and have a conversation and work through something. I don't know. Maybe I'm old school, and maybe some people are fine with auto attendants. I hate chatbots online, and I hate knowing when I'm asking a question that it's just running through potential answers. And I just want to talk to someone. And if that means 10% more, fine, so be it.
So it's interesting that question. So there's two answers. Number one is I think a lot of the AI stuff that's being pushed out is to soften consumer awareness, to take away the fear of AI, what AI could really do. I do think that conspiracy theory is actually real. But the other side of that is early in the morning, I had a email come in from Brazil, or no, it was the UK actually, asking about our DSPs, right? And some of our DSPs, there's two profiles. There's one called P2 and there's one called P4. And he was like, well, I don't like, what's P2 and P4? And in a way that he could understand, I had to explain to him that P2 is P square, right? So that's when you're up against a wall, you're only giving, that many degrees. It affects the bass response of the speaker, et cetera. A 4 means you're in total open air. You're on a pole or on your post. It changes the bass head thresholds and the sensitivity and the frequencies. But because we have DSP, we can blah, 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 make magic happen. I actually typed that question into AI, and what actually got spit out, there's no chance he would have understood it. Like zero. So the point was, y'all made me think of it. The point was proven this morning because I was like, okay, I'd like our sales guys and our engineers to be able to regurgitate this, but they can't sound like me. They won't sound like me. So let me just see what kind of script and then it popped up and I'm like, nope, throw that away. I'll have to explain it to them and they can do it in their own fashion. But yeah, I want to talk to a person. Yeah, that guy's, he's lucky he got me and not an AI response.
Yeah, no, I agree because that's usually where I sit too. But I keep testing it kind of the way you were this morning. I keep testing different things to see what it spits out. And I did one the other day. I was trying to compare two drivers because I want to replace my driver. And the spit out from 3 different AIs was so ridiculous and over the top that made me go, yeah, I'm just going to have to go hit one. Because like it makes sense. But again, I'm not like DeChambeau crazy to where the spin rates matter for me yet. If it's within a couple it's wonderful that ChatGPT or whatever else can tell me that, but yeah, I don't know what my normal spin rate is, so I'm not sure it matters.
I was just going to say, the only thing I just heard a stat the other day that and I don't think people bring up enough is that there is still, I believe it was like a 80% hallucination rate by some of these AI platforms. So they're still spitting out mis and wrong information. They're interpreting things incorrectly. So it's still not perfect, and relying on it for things like trying to win a customer over. I think people want people.
We need people.
What you said
Exactly.
is, I believe that the consumer is pushing back towards that. People do want to have that people interaction. We've gone too far.
No, I'm with you on that. All right, let's get to the juicy part of the episode. This comes to us from CE Pro as of May 5th, so it might be completely outdated at this point too. Who knows? Incoming semiconductor tariffs are looming over electronics. The upcoming semiconductor tariffs are going to remove exemptions from many electronic products that had not been hit yet with reciprocal tariffs. Go read through the article. I am not explaining this entire thing to you. I'm just not going to do it. Long and short, though, they've added some tariffs onto the semiconductors that sometimes will be attributed to things like laptops that were previously exempted that now may not be exempted because they have a semiconductor in them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's very, very excitingly complicated for kicks and giggles, which is the way I will look at it. Ian, let me start with you on this. I love this conversation because it's so back and forth and conflicted and changes daily, which I also kind of love because I find the comedy in it, which maybe not everybody else does, but I do, and that's okay. When you see this, does this affect the way you're looking at what you guys in your company are doing from a business standpoint, as far as until these are put into place and enacted for, let's just say 15 days even? Is that the point when you look at it and say, okay, we will take this as a valid thing? Or are you taking the sit back and wait approach to verify that this is what it's going to be? Because we've seen I had to use the term flip-flop, but we've kind of seen the flip-flop, the back and forth of this conversation for the better part of 3 months now.
Yeah, we're definitely taking things in a slower approach and sitting back and waiting to see exactly what's going to happen. But at the same time, we've got manufacturers that are sending us notices that they are increasing their prices, which then we have to in turn pass on to our customers, unfortunately. It hasn't steered us to drop any lines. We are very committed to our manufacturers that are committed to us. So it's not making us go to a different manufacturer. But when we are looking at bringing on new brands that will say we're 100% American made and there's zero tariffs, that now is more appealing. It's not a sales tactic we used to hear from manufacturers 5 years ago. It really wasn't a problem. I think we're just going to have to wait and see. I mean, there's a lot of investment. The article talks about TSMC. They're starting to ramp up a lot of facilities and business here. And I really think the only thing that most integrators can do is just kind of sit back and hold on and see where things are going to land. Unfortunately, I think one thing that gets overlooked is that it's not just the chips and it's not just the manufacturers of the hardware that integrators are selling. It's also the fact that they need to buy a new truck for their fleet. They've got to pay more. If they need to buy some electronics for the office, they got to pay more. And so it's everything from these businesses. Everyday business use and purchases are all going up across the board, and it's causing a lot of chaos, and not just our industry, but across the United States. So, yeah, just hoping for the best. I won't go too much further than that.
I like it. All right, Joseph. Let me ask you this: as a manufacturer, and again, I'm not asking you to get into anything super specific, but from a mindset kind of outlook view, when you guys see this, obviously this has to be affecting what you're doing. Again, the same way it's affecting everyone else. Are you to the point yet where this is having, or every tariff announcement is having a daily impact on purchasing or planning or product development? Or again, are you also in that kind of wait and see situation?
Okay, so that's a lot. The first thing I'll start off with is saying on the manufacturer side, and I'm looking at all the integrator viewers, readers, listeners all together. Don't be mad at the manufacturer, right? It costs us now more to give you the things. We've all got to pay for it together. We do not have a mechanism in place to backcharge factories. That does not exist, right? So we can't sell it to you for the same price because it doesn't cost the same price. Like, that's just nature of economics. Can't fight that. It is what it is. However, like, let's be honest and real here, okay? It is the best way I could put it. It does make us work a lot more hours, though.
That's a great point. All right, gentlemen, we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. Joe, if people want to connect with you, learn more about Origin Acoustics, where can they do that?
Find me on the socials at Joe Whitaker. You'll just see my smiley face. You know it's me. I like direct contact, not AI, so you can directly email me, and it will be me answering you. Joe at originacoustics.com. And I hope everybody weathers through this, and I hope, we're still around the next time I'm on this podcast.
Yeah, we'll be there. All right, Ian, thank you, sir, for joining us as well. If people want to connect with you, learn more about IES Communications, where can they do that?
Go to our website, iescom.com. That's iescomm.com. Or you can find me on social media, LinkedIn, anywhere, Ian Bryant.
Excellent. Thank you again. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me at Matt D. Scott on most of the socials. But more importantly, please visit AVNation.tv, where you'll find this show as well as a wide variety of other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our supporters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you check them out as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Hello, this is Steve Greenblatt, host of AVNation's A State of Control podcast. Each month, Rich Fregosa and I explore trending topics related to control, programming, and automation in the audiovisual industry. We speak with a variety of AV professionals who share their perspectives, knowledge, and experiences. Please join us for this monthly conversation. Check out A State of Control on avnation.tv or wherever you get your podcasts.